Doyle, there is the goal with 15 minutes left on the clock. Sheffield United back in the lead.
Right, welcome back to the latest episode of Inside United, where we speak to players past and present about their time at Bramall Lane. Today's guest is a former captain who spent 4.5 years at Bramall Lane, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying when I say perhaps he wasn't the most technically gifted, but what he made up for was with pure hard work, commitment, and could never be accused of giving anything less than 100%. It is Michael Doyle. Hello, Michael. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, Paul. Yeah, thanks very much for the
Was that intro fair enough?
It's fair enough, mate. You know what I mean? And, no, as I say, great to see you again. And you know, sort of, it's amazing how everything's gone. You know, we've obviously been watching Sheffield United, and it's been amazing. You know, I couldn't be prouder. And obviously, when I was there, we had a lot of shortcomings in a sense of not getting promoted, but you know, it's just great to see the club do so well. And the reason being, it's just because there's so many great people there that I worked with. It was just a proper sort of family-orientated working class club, and it was brilliant. And just sort of feel honoured sort of to be getting asked back at this stage with the club so well. And you know, it's probably a time a lot of people don't want to remember, in a sense of, you know, all the shortcomings and missing out on promotion and where they are now. So it's a bit strange and a bit nerve-wracking in the sense coming back and talking about, because everything's so positive about Sheffield United at the minute, which is great.
Well, we'll come on to what you're up to now a little bit later on, but let's discuss your time at United back to January 2011, I think it was, when you joined. Mickey Adams brought you, I think.
Yeah, I'd obviously worked with Mickey over a period at Coventry, and you know, I played a lot of games under him, and he lost his job there, and I think he was Port Vale. He sort of rebuilt himself, went back to Port Vale, and obviously Sheffield United was always his club. I think it was the club he supported, for he's from Sheffield, and although he doesn't sound it, he speaks like a Cockney. And you know, Sheffield United, he eventually got that job, and he kind of made a bit of contact with me in that January, I think. But I think he was more thinking about the next season of going in. Contract was up at the end of the season, and there was talk of me staying at Coventry, but he kind of made contact about signing at the end of the season, because he had a lot of players. He obviously inherited a lot of players that are under contract, and I think then everything kind of took a bit of speed. I think Leon Britton might have left and went back to Swansea, and then it came to, would I be interested in going? And that's, you know, obviously I'd had a long time at Coventry, which I really enjoyed, but I'd done a spell the previous season on loan at Leeds, which I loved. Big Yorkshire club as well, and I kind of had a bit of success there. We got promoted, and I was kind of thinking, went back to Coventry, and long story short, I had a chance to go to Huddersfield that summer, and Aidy Boothroyd, who was Coventry manager, didn't want me to go, so I stayed. And around Christmas time, there was talk of, you know, extending my contract for a year, but I kind of felt I wanted to move on, and Sheffield United made an interest, and I wanted to go. So that was basically how it came about.
And what state was the club in when you arrived?
Yeah, it was, to be honest with you, I got a bit of a shock. You know, it was, it was an amazing club. It sells itself. I mean, I played there many a time, and amazing crowd, great stadium, sort of, you know, real old school ground, proper atmosphere. So that side of things, it was, you know, it was amazing. Like, that sold itself. But going in with Mickey, it was just a matter of going in, and but there was a lot of players there, and I think they were on the third manager by that stage when Mick had gone in, and he was trying to bring his own players in, but there was an influx of a lot of players on loan and things like that, and we were obviously fighting for our lives. But it was a tough environment to go into, because there was a lot of players that, I wouldn't say down tools, but knew they probably weren't. I don't know whether Mickey had sort of said to them, or previous manager, but I'd say a lot of sort of bad attitude. Training wasn't great. A lot of big numbers. A lot of sort of players in on loan, and it was a tough environment. I mean, I only played there 3 or 4 months that back end of the season. In 2 games, we ended up with 9 men in 2 games. You know, we're fighting for our lives, and you're going out to Watford, and man getting sent off after 10 minutes, and then another in the first half. We lost the game 4 or 5-0. Went to Ipswich, lost at Ipswich. I think it was 3-1. 2 men sent off. It was just it was tough environment to be in, you know, especially with such demanding fans as well.
So how are you in that kind of situation? Because you've always been a player that says it how it is. Were there a
Yeah.
few home truths between you and the rest of the team back then?
Not so much, to be honest with you, because the one thing we had at that time when I was there, obviously, listen, the big thing probably at that stage was Morgs was injured. He was a massive character in the club. He had a quite bad knee injury. But you had people like Monty and Cressy there who were good leaders. But, you know, Monty was always like, you know, prime sort of pro, great, led the club great. And, you know, it wasn't my, you know, obviously you go in and you train hard and you do things, you'll probably take, you know, you'll always lead from the front in a sense, but it was just it was a difficult environment. There was a lot of big characters there as well, you know, and yeah, there was probably a few confrontations at times in a sense of training where tackles and people didn't like it, but it was just get on with it. But as you say, it's probably having the influence that you wanted to have. You're only new in the door, and listen, like everybody, I tried my best, but it was tough, you know. It wasn't too long, and you know, the crowd and things like that, results aren't going well. You're all getting it, and what happens then is you probably start trying to look after yourself and try your best. And it was, as I say, it was really tough environment them first few months, you know.
It was tough, and you know, you didn't escape criticism. But the one thing I always admired about you when watching you is that you never ever went missing. You never hid. You know, if the crowd were on you, you still demanded the ball. You still threw yourself into tackles when maybe you knew you weren't playing very well.
Yeah, as I say, it's, you know, that's just it's your job. It's part and parcel. And listen, there's a lot.
But not all players do that, Michael.
Yeah, I know, and it's character and it's fear or whatever. But you know, the blessing for me before I'd been to Sheffield was I played at Coventry, and again at Coventry for a spell it was tough because Coventry had been a long time Premier League club, and you're going in there and the demands were through the roof. Every you know, listen, it's probably not as big as club as Sheffield United. You know, they're probably, you know, that people beg to differ, but it was a very demanding club, and Coventry's expectation every year, probably unrealistically, and you look back now, was they were expecting to get promoted fans-wise because they just come out of the Premier League. And that was tough because at times there, they weren't happy, and you just had to deal with that, and it's character building. And, you know, I went through tough times at Coventry, and you just kind of have to start trying to learn not to listen to the noise. And, you know, I always felt as I went on in my career, when you're hearing what the crowd are saying, you're obviously not focusing on the game. And I kind of taught myself that, was try not to, you know, try just to focus on that and not to hear that. And, you know, don't get me wrong, when the ships are down at Sheffield and any club, you're thinking about that next pass, and it doesn't matter. You feel it from the crowd, it gets you on edge. But, you know, you just get on with it. I was always a player. I just wanted to play, you know. And at times, yeah, it's tough to go out there. And don't get me wrong, I've been at Sheffield United under managers when things were tough and lads are injured. And are they really injured, you know? And I know that happened a lot when times were tough, especially under the Davy Weir era, which will probably come on. I remember you know, we were all getting it, but there's players there that, you know, you could tell they didn't want to play, and they tight hamstrings and things like that. And, you know, that never entered my mind. It was always, I just wanted to play, you know, and that was just like, you know, there's loads of players that are like that.
You'd said previously that, you know, the jersey was a heavy one to wear. Do you think some players found it too heavy to wear?
Of course, yeah. It's definitely like, you know, when you're going into Bramall Lane, and every team, especially in League One, every team that comes there, it's the cup final, and, you know, you're going to see the best of everybody, you know, because they're so up for it, even when you go to their grounds, because like Sheffield United, they travelled in massive numbers everywhere they went. So every week was like a cup final, and that was something that you had to get used to. I always felt, you know, I took pride in that, and you're always well able for that. But certainly there was probably players there that, you know, could feel that weight and expectation and couldn't live up to it from the fans, and then demands as well from players that you put on each other, you know.
And obviously you suffered relegation to League One, which I know hurt, but knowing the individual you are, I guess that really did devastate you.
You know, it hurt, you know, because you feel a part of that. And even you went in January, felt massive part, because, you know, I'd been signed. And listen, there was a lot of negativity around the club, and yeah, that was tough, you know, because was really hard. And then obviously going into that summer, Mickey was sacked fairly sharp, which we didn't know who the manager was going to be. And there was a lot of rumours coming out of the club that there was going to be a lot of redundancies for people and that. And that was, you start to build up a bit of a relationship working with people. And I think, players aside, it was like, good people possibly losing their jobs. And that was tough. And then obviously as players, you were hearing that everybody was available to leave the club. And rightly so. I think they wanted to try and get the wage bill down, and it was quite big and heavy. So, in my head right away, listen, things didn't end great for me at the end of that season. We got relegated. I found myself out of the team, getting taken off, and it was tough, but I thought, in my head that summer, I was thinking, I ain't going anywhere. I'm staying here. I want to, play a part in this club, trying to get me promoted. It's a massive club. I want to sort of show people what you can do. So it never really entered my mind about leaving the club. I was thinking I want to be a part of trying to take the club back up, and that was my mindset. But every day was something different. As I say, we didn't know who the manager was going to be and what was going to happen. And then Danny obviously took the job, which was quite controversial at the time, but it ended up like for me, it was a bit of a master stroke. And that season for me was probably the one that we should have got promoted, definitely, out of all the rest. That was the one we were a right good team, I felt, and circumstances right at the end, just everything went against us, not just with what happened with Ched, but people like Big Neil Collins had a horrendous, I don't know whether people were, Neil had a horrendous situation, what happened with his young boy, and unfortunately, lucky enough, his son, was critically sort of ill, and he was a massive character for us, Neil. He sort of held that back four together, and, that was devastating. I was so close to Neil and his wife, Amanda. I mean, we were very close, and to watch someone so close to you go through something like that was horrendous, and to be ringing him, and, it was quite very tough, because football was the furthest thing from his mind, and that's like a fella who was like, he was football 24/7, Neil, and to see him go through that, and then that came onto the pitch. Then we went down to Warsaw. Harry, I think, got sent off against Oldham, and Matt Loughton in a game we were winning 2-0 at home to Oldham. Yep. We ended up losing the game 3-2, and again we ended up missing the whole back four. Alexi done his cruise ship. It was like we lost our whole back four in the space of a weekend, and that was tough. And then what followed then with obviously Ched and things was just, it was so tough, for a team that had really, we got going, and we were playing good football. We looked like we were in, Charlton were quite ahead, but it looked like we had second place nailed on, and to lose it the way we did was tough, especially to your local rivals as well, which was even harder.
We said earlier on when we were talking off camera, so nearly yet so far, and that does apply to you in so many ways. The playoffs, you got to the final once, beaten in the semis twice, League Cup semi, FA Cup semi. Let's go back to the Huddersfield one, which obviously was extremely painful. What are your memories of that?
Just a bad game, if I'm being honest. It was roasting hot, and I just remember it. We went down there, and I mean, we could still be there till now, and I don't think either team would have scored. It was, for us, I felt like, I don't mean we had no striker. Cressy was playing up front with one shoulder. I think they put Quinny in the hole behind them, and we just didn't really, the way we'd been up to that point in the season going before the playoffs, we were quite an attacking, scored a lot of goals team. Yeah. As I say, we lost our main goal threat. And even in the playoff semi-final, when we played Stevenage, we got through 1-0 against Stevenage, and we were quite convincing in the two legs, but we got through by the skin of our teeth 1-0, and to go into a final, and as I said, we didn't really have an attacking, we'd lost that attacking threat. Big Kevin MacDonald missed the game with a hamstring injury. It was a massive loss as well. Like, as a midfielder, he was probably that one that pulled the strings and created a lot of chances, and it was just tough, like, in a sense, to lose such crucial players at a key time. And we went all the way to penalties, and they got down to the goalkeeper. That was, as I say, it was so tough. Yeah, and to lose it like we did, as I say, it was it was just heartbreaking, really.
Must have taken some getting over that.
Yeah, but in your head as a player, like, it is, but you try and think, right, next year, you know, and it's not. It's, you know, it's the last thing a fan want to hear. And listen, you're not thinking like that straight after the game. You kind of something that stays with you every other day over that course of the summer. But eventually, when you start getting close to the time to come back, you're thinking, right, next year, who are we going to sign and what we, you know, hopefully, you know, add a few pieces to the mix and jigsaw, and then you go back and people like Quinny straight away, he's kind of off. And yeah, it was, you know, the club were looking at, you know, bringing in, going a different direction. It was, we're going to sign young players now and build them up to try and do well here and sell them on. I think it was kind of from that point then was getting tough, because every kind of year from that point it was a bit of a different philosophy, if that makes sense. It was always a different sort of sport and director, chief exec coming in, and it was a different idea every year of what we were going to do. There was no set plan of we need to get the club out of the league, and it was always, you were hearing different things, you know, and it's going to be tough. But you're still always thinking, we're Sheffield United, we're going to attract good young players, we're going to, you know, it's just whether they can handle wearing that short and, you know, excel right away and take us to where we need to be. Are they going to be the right players? And, you know, probably more often times than not, unfortunately, a lot of things didn't work out.
That disappointment, though, against Huddersfield seems to be the driving force for yet another tilt at the playoffs. And you had a wobble towards the end, and obviously Danny lost his job, and then Morgs gets the job on a caretaker basis, and it's Yeovil in the semi-finals.
Yeah, I mean, that season, again, the one thing that probably comes back over my time in Sheffield United, maybe I'm wrong, but I always felt, come up to the point of Christmas, we were like such a strong team, and always around that January time, I'm nearly sure we played Scunthorpe around the 28th, 1st of January that year under Danny, the second year. And we went top of the league. I think we won 4-0 at home against Scunny. But Sean Miller, who'd like signed from Crewe, started to really get going. Yeah. He was looking unplayable. I think this fella's brilliant. He was a great link player to play with. And you're thinking, right, we're on to something here. We've got a goal scorer now. We're, you know, Nick Blackman had kind of, and he was signed to strike, ended up out in the wing, was quite a lively player. And I think, right, we're looking good here, perfect position. And in that game, bloody Sean, I think, done his cruciate knee ligament. He done his cruciate that day, and I'm thinking, what? And you're thinking, what are we going to do? And I think over the whole course of that January end was talk of, like, you know, speaking to Danny and that, I think there was talk of Bradley Roy Phillips and that coming in on loan, which, you know, would have been a great sign. He ends up going to Brentford. I think we got John O'Forte back, who was a good player, but over the course of that time he came in, struggled with a lot of injuries, and he never really got going. So we'd gone from a team at the start of the season where we didn't concede a lot of goals, won a lot of games, sort of 1-0-ish. We were quite solid team. We'd gone from the attacking team to really solid, grinding out wins. Over the second half of the season, once teams start scoring against us early, we really struggled. We couldn't find a way to break teams down because of what we'd done from being a team that would nick a goal, and we were like, we ain't going to concede. We'd just grind out results, to being quite good at that, to then having to chase games when we hit a bit of bad form second half of the season. We struggled to break teams down. And going into the Oval game, there was a lot of players going to sign, like Barry Robson back end of the season, and Danny Higginbottom, people like that. We brought in a lot of experienced pros, and again, going into the playoff against Yeovil, we were kind of decimated with injuries. We missed a lot of players injured, and that, like, even in the semi-final, first leg at home, Barry Robson broke his ribs. You know, he was a big player. It probably didn't work out as well for him at Sheffield United as he probably would have hoped. He was coming to a later stage of his career, but kind of players like that, you're thinking, you know, in the big games, that's what they kind of always turn up, and they're going to be, you know, this will be the sort of moment they really show what they're about. And I remember that game, he was playing quite well, and I think he got an elbow off the ball and he broke his rib. He was out, but young Cal McFadden came into the team and he had a great game that night, and he ended up scoring the winner. And I think 1-0 going down to the Oval, give ourselves something to hold on to, let them come on to us. And second leg, like, I mean, it was all about, you know, just go out and keep it solid, try and nick something. And within a minute, we were 1-0 down away, and I think, bloody hell. But we ended up taking over the game with a lot of chances, didn't score, and then probably last few minutes of the game, they break down the left hand side, banging across, lad comes in back post and scores, and it's game over, 2-1, and that was devastating. That was really devastating. But we just hit wrong form at the wrong time. To be honest with you, we really, from the January on, we really tilted off. We were struggling. We couldn't. We just couldn't. We didn't win enough games. Dropped right out of the automatics, down into around 5th, 6th place, and we kind of fell into the playoffs. Not a lot of. We weren't playing with a lot of confidence, probably, as we would have liked, and Danny obviously lost the job a month or two before the end of the season, and that was a bit. It was a strange time in a sense to be in the playoffs. I know the expectation, Sheffield United, and we'd gone from top sort of crumbling down, and it just didn't. When you look back now, it didn't make sense. I think the best thing at the time would have been for Danny just to, maybe it was meant to be. We were meant to go through the playoffs and him to be there and go. It just wasn't to be. Morgs came in, and Morgs was great. The players loved him. He was a good coach and full of enthusiasm. But I think he was hurt as well with probably how Danny was kind of treated, and the job was kind of thrust upon him. And as I say, it was disappointing. You kind of felt like you let Morgs down as well, because he was. I think, behind it all, he was being groomed eventually to take sort of over. I think, I think he was taught that highly of, and he probably didn't get the job then on the back of us losing in the playoffs, which was disappointing because nothing really got to do with him whatsoever. He had the team as best prepared as possible, and just again we didn't get over the line.
And then another summer of change comes along. Yet another one. Another new manager.
Yeah, as I say, revolving door, and that's lower league football. Football in general. It's just change all the time. And again, you're going into another summer, and you're always just, first thing as a player, you'll always worry about yourself because you go out and prove yourself again. Another manager, listen, no player should ever get comfortable, but it's always a worry when new managers come in, no matter what stage of your career you're at. I was into me 30s then at Sheffield United, and it was. You're always thinking, bloody hell, what's going to happen? And you go in and you're trying to hit the ground first day running pre-season and show, your attitude, what you're about. And it's that was the revolving team in my time at Sheffield United. It was a new face on the training ground every summer nearly, and that was disappointing because it's such a big club and you just want it to be right. And it's nothing better playing for big clubs when things are going well, and it's great. And as I say, it was a new start again, and unfortunately for Davy came in and he was typical modern day, and everything first day was done out, and he was brilliant. He was
and the philosophy that he had, any player would buy into that, wouldn't they?
Oh, it was brilliant. The whole pre-season was different. Everything was done with the ball, and we literally first day of that pre-season, we were working on how we were going to play for the rest of the season. We were doing 11v11s. Playing in the formation we were going to play. We all knew our roles, what way it was going to be. It was really, really modern day. And I think anybody that watched that first game of the season against Notts County, we played really well, and a lot of, I think it was record set for most passes of it, and it looked brilliant. And you're thinking, this is going to be great. We're looking great. Friday night, first game of the season, we win 2-1. Big Harry scores the winner. And you're thinking, and everything was that whole team was built around Kevin MacDonald. The whole pre-season, Kev was a great player, and everything was built around Kevin, being the sort of main man, getting him on the ball and making things happen, which he was doing. And after that game, then he was gone to Wolves a week later, and but at that stage as well, the club were talking about signing younger players and building them up and making them. And it is the right thing if it works. And we lost Kevin, and you're bringing in. We brought in Florent Cavalier, Jose Baxter. They were good players, but unfortunately, you want them to come in and hit the ground running, and they probably didn't. They found that Florent, I think, struggled with a lot of injuries, but he found it difficult playing at Sheffield. It was big expectation, and he struggled a little bit. Jose was about him getting fit and getting match fit, and over the course, and that took time. But over that, couple of 2-3 months, Davey was in charge. He stuck to his beliefs, and we couldn't win a game. I don't think we won a game after that first game. We went on a horrendous run, and what you were finding was a lot of games we were dominating first 20 minutes, really front foot attacking the ball, and we wouldn't score, we weren't creating enough chances, and you just felt like, oh, we're the better team here. And then opposition would get a free kick, or they'd get one counter attack on us and score, and it was like bloody hell. And that was a common theme. I remember going to Bradford and Rotherham, which were local derbies, and Bradford, you have to walk by the away end to get out of the dressing room, and walking out before the game, and fans are up against the fence. Come on, all positive lads, because it's you know what it's like being a fan.
Yeah.
It means so much to them. That's and we've thousands there. Obviously, being a local big game, and we ended up half time we were losing the game. Bloody the cages were getting rattled, and it was and that was it. It was tough, and some players couldn't handle that. And it's the toughest thing is when for playing for big clubs, the hardest thing is just being able to handle playing that jersey. But you have to be able to take that expectation as well. And I remember going down Rotherham again. We were kind of dominating, and we ended up losing the game, and we 5,000 Sheffield United fans. And as a player, it's the worst thing as a player, going down to your fans after you get, and the things were going really tough then, having to walk down and clap them. And I always feel as fans, they must feel like you're antagonising them in a sense, clapping them after that, rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing, and you're getting the hand signals, you're getting everything, and I think
but you know what? They'd be even more upset if you didn't go and applaud them. I think
exactly. And that's listen. There's no right or wrong, and but it's that's what you feel as a player. It's you have to be able to. That's the character. You have to be able to go down there, and you have to be able to take it, and you have to be able. At the same time, don't get me wrong. We're all down there when things turn and you're winning, and you're all down there celebrating. So it's sort of both edges of the sword, isn't it? It's just the way it is as players, but. Listen, I wouldn't change anything in a sense, because, I've been fortunate. I've managed to extend my career and play for like Portsmouth and go back to Coventry. And I always feel a lot of my success sort of with them clubs, in a sense, if you call it that, getting promotion, a lot of that was built on my times at Sheffield United, because I was, in them tough times at Sheffield United, the expectation was always to win the league. And I was able for that. But don't get me wrong, as strong as a character, I'd always feel I was a strong character. There was times when I'd go home and think, and I'd doubt myself and that, but you had to forget it. And then it was like go out to the next game, and you had to, come on, and you had to be ready for that, and you had to be ready for whoever you were playing against, and that was just part of it. And I always felt that I'd learned so much as a player, dealing with, the expectations and things like that will stay with me forever, and no matter what type of I do in my life, whether it's stay in sport or any sort of job, I'll always feel that built me for sort of life after football. Strangely enough, it was like, because what sort of, football to them fans was like life, it's life to them, most football fans are so tribal, it's their life, and, when you're part of their life in a sense, and it's not going the way, you're going to know all about it,
Feels like we're just talking about lows all the time, but obviously there was the season under Nigel Clough. You got to the FA Cup semi-final, League Cup semi-final. You got to the playoffs again, which culminated in that amazing game against Swindon. I don't know whether you'd quite see it the same way, but to watch as a spectacle, it was just ridiculous. But the two cup runs, that I felt at the time really put something back in for the fans, because they really seemed to buy into that spell. Again, just as they did with Danny under Nigel. Did you feel that?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I mean, Nigel came in and he was totally different to Davey. He was just a proper, a sort of old school. I'm not doing him a disservice.
No.
Very come in, man's man, and got the senior players straight away. Look at, he was just about getting people going, running around, and he was great. He didn't, he had a real aura about him, and you knew you had to run yourself into the ground. It was the least you expected, but very, he was good. Very, it was just like the training and that was enjoyable. It was fun. He'd have a laugh and a joke, but he got the club going again. We were right, we looked like we could have been getting relegated when he came in. We were right down there, and we ended up the cup run changed the whole season, because I think first game we went to Colchester. I think we won 1-0. Chris Porter scored a penalty. But we found the sort of way of playing. We started playing with 5 in the middle. Conor Cody hadn't really played. He brought Skougal in, and he ended up leaving me sitting, them two sitting in front of me, full of legs and getting on the ball. And Jamie Murphy ended up becoming a revelation. Like, Murphy was nearly leaving the club, going back to Scotland. He found it difficult. I think he was missing home a bit. I think he found it really difficult. It was a big club, and the expectation. He walked into an environment, as I just said to you, it was hard environment to play if you're not winning. And then Nigel came in, kind of got an arm around him, and he ended up a revelation. Jose, he ended up playing as a sort of false number 9. Went down to Colchester. Port scores a penalty. I think we won 1-0. Cambridge next round on the telly. They're flying in the top of the conference at that stage, and it was a tough out. It was a good game, and we won. I think we won 3-4-2 or something. We won the game, and then the next round we got Villa away. I always remember that. We got Villa away.
Ryan Flynn goal.
Sorry?
Was that the Ryan Flynn goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went down to St George's Park the night before with Nigel, and we stayed there, trained there. It was great, and having our dinner the night before the game, and Nigel, everybody have a beer, this and that. Never heard anything like that, in a sense. And he's like, listen, not a test. Anybody wants a beer, have a beer. We used to do it all the time, and a few lads are having a beer. But that whole thing was just relax, like, just enjoy tomorrow. Then it was great. We drove over to Birmingham and the day of the game, and you can see Sheffield United fans everywhere, and you're driving Villa Park. It's a very impressive stadium, amazing stadium. And I mean, that day, that changed everything. We about 6,000 Sheffield United fans, and we, they were sort of struggling, Villa in the Premier League, I think. And we had a great game, great match, and we managed to come out on top. And it was, that day was just, that was a special day. It was brilliant to go to Villa Park and beat them, and you have 6,000 of your own fans. It was amazing. And everything kind of real lifted after that. It was, everything was like, we're on the crest of a wave. And as they say, the rest is a bit of history. We ended up getting all the way to the semi-finals, which nobody expected us to. And probably that cup run might have subsided a bit, because we nearly made the playoffs that season as well. We went on an unbelievable run in the league, and we just, we filtered a bit at the end. We just didn't. I think the cup run kind of took over, and the league suffered a little bit with results, and we just missed out on the playoffs. But we kind of found a way of playing. We played like a 4-5-1, and we used to sit off teams, let them have the ball, and then we just counter-attack. We had like a lot of legs in the midfield with Flynn, Murphy, Skougal and Cody, and I used to just sit in the back of the front four, and they just bang it up and support, and it was brilliant. It was great to play in, and some of the games that year, the cup games were amazing, and
so close to beating Spurs in the semi-finals. I remember.
Well, that was the League Cup one. It was Hull.
Yeah, League Cup. Yeah.
And really, like, when was talked about that game so much with Hull, we should have beat them that day. To be 2-1 up.
Yeah, half time it was 2-1, wasn't it?
Yeah. And what happened was, with referring to Nigel again, we had a way of playing in that cup run. We used to sit back and let teams come on, and we'd counter-attack them. But what had happened was, Hull, when we got to Wembley that day, Nigel named the team, which he always did. He didn't name the team the day before. It was always the day of the game at 2 o'clock. Named team, and he says, listen, we're not doing what we usually do. We're not sitting back against these. We're going to do something. We're just going to attack them. We're going to have a right go and see where it takes us. And we were all like, bloody hell, like, because they had some big players, and we ended up like, we were all over them. I'm nearly sure we would give it right to them. We were 1-0 up, then 1-1, then 2-1, and I think at half time, great. And Gary Crosby, like, Gary never came to the games. He was like he used to always go off and scout, but he was there, and Gary's come in at half time. We're thinking, we're going to sit back and just nick this and be frustrated and try and nick another. And he was like, no, we're not sitting back. We're getting out. We're going to just try and get another one. And I just, always at Wembley, it's always roasting hot. And within 5-10 minutes of the second half, I think we were 4-2 down. Do you know
what I think made a difference that day from Hull's point of view? I think Steve Bruce brought on Tom Huddleston at half time.
He brought on Matty Fryer and Stephen Quinn.
Oh, did it? Did Huddleston start then?
Yeah, what he done was, Huddleston usually played sitting midfield out at Livermore, but they played him as a number 10 in the first half.
So they changed his role.
They changed their formation to because I obviously spoke to Quinny after, and he was like, Doyle, Jesus, he said we were done at half time. But what happened, that they'd worked all week on the way we played, sitting back, being defensive. So they played Huddleston as a number 10, trying to make something different, and it didn't work out. And they made, I think they brought on Matty Fryer and Quinny at half time, and they kind of,
you are right, yeah. But Huddleston saw more of the ball in the second half.
He dropped back a bit deeper and started dictating things, and you know, it was. I just remember we were 4-2 down, and we were out on our last legs a bit, and we managed to. I think it ended up 5-3, but we managed to get a bit of a second win. But you were never going to get sort of 3 goals back in a sense, and it was a brilliant day, like, you know, playing an FA Cup semi-final. It was you never think as a lower league player you're going to get that, you know. So that was like special. Wembley, I think it was 44,000 from Sheffield United there. It was amazing. It was disappointing, because I think what could have been if we'd just held on and you get to an FA Cup final as a League One player playing against Arsenal, it would have been amazing. But it was it put a lot of pride back into the club, I think, after the way the season had gone, because it again was, you know, Sheffield United, they were playing in playoff finals for the Championship a few years previous, and all of a sudden they were finding themselves near the bottom of League One. It was, I think that gave the club a real lift again. And Nigel, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, loved what he was doing. The people he was bringing in, John Brayford and people like that, a lot of energy, typical Sheffield United type of player. It was like, give everybody a real lift around the club, I think.
Really stuck with me that Wembley day, because right at the end you mentioned 40-odd thousand Unitedites. I don't think hardly anybody had left their seats by the end. The standing ovation that you got, you know, the fans managed to put the disappointment of the result to one side and just acknowledge what the players had given that day. I've never seen anything quite like that, to be honest. You know, fans getting behind a team in defeat like that. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And that was it. And that's, like, it tells you everything probably about the club. And as for any sort of young player that looks at these types of things, that's all fans want to see, is people that run round. And, you know, it's the old cliche of a bit of heart and desire. And people will accept that, you know, as fans. That's all you want to see, you know. There's sometimes in football now, there's a lot of attitude and ego and the shoulders. And people can't stand to watch that on sidelines, like fans. It's frustrating, you know. Me as a player, you see players like that, and, you know, it's just frustrating. Do you know what I mean? And you can't sort of have it. So it probably tells you everything as a young player, of, you know, the sort of the minimal what you give is these type of things, because it'll get you so far. And I remember that fondly as well. Like, you know, after losing a game, and to see that type of reception, it's amazing. And it says everything about, you know, the club as well. The fans, as I say, they're good people, you know.
Did it hurt to leave?
Oh yeah, it was tough, but I think when you look back, and it was hard, and, you know, it was disappointing probably the way I left, but it was, you know, as much as it probably hurts me to say it, it was probably just the right time. I couldn't have thinking of anything worse of being there the next year under the Nigel Atkins, and, you know, another sort of season of, you know, and again, it was just, I think the club needed a fresh start. And listen, of course, if it had been, I would have loved to stay there. But I think when I look back now, you know, and I can't come out of it, I'd never have left there. I'd have, you know, easily played there as long as I could. But it really hurt me to leave, because you get ingrained in places and you get relationships with people, not just players, people you work with. And that was tough, you know. But I think, like, Nigel, as a manager, the way he is he always, any club he goes to, you know, when you look at his record, he always, I'm not saying uses, but he likes to always seem to freshen things up every, you know, no one's ever there too long. He'll have his 3 or 4 boys that he has sort of everywhere with him, which isn't a criticism, you know, but it was, you know, I just felt like I was, you know, the start of that season, he brought in James Wallace and people like that, and I you know, we just got to the FA Cup semi-final. There was a lot coming out in the press about people coming in and being captain and things like that, which it always seemed to be an issue with Sheffield United. But the captaincy people was always a lot of driven by, you know, whether it was fans, whether it was press, it was always a lot driven to it. I used to just get my head down and get on with it, and people used to I would never once speak to a manager about captaincy. That was always given to me. And that season after, you're going away thinking next year we're going to be right up there. You know, look at the players we have. Just got into an FA Cup semi-final. Should be winning this league if ever there's a time. And then Nigel signed a few players, and there was a lot coming out with every player that was signed. Andy Butler, James Watt, going to possibly be captains and all sorts. I knew I was in for a fight right away, which was fair enough. And went back pre-season, done all the usual, come back, and then I think it was the week before the season started. You usually sort of play your team, and Nigel, we were playing down at York, and Nigel, he didn't travel with the team or something, so the video analysis, Mikey put the team up before the game because everybody's looking. It's the week before the season start. This is kind of the massive indication who's going to play and who's not. I wasn't in the team. I was out of the team. James Wallace was playing with Skougal, and I was like, oh, right, that was a blow, I think, bloody hell, but it is what it is. You've got to fight in your hands as you always do. Just get on with it. And James, he suffered bad with injuries all through his career, and 20 minutes into that game, we were losing 2 or 3-0, I think, and he ripped his groin quite bad. I think he was stretchered off. So I'm thinking, I think I got changed, and he didn't bring me on. He brought someone else on, which was fine. And I got on near the end of the game, did okay. We lost the game convincingly to York. So you're thinking next week, you're thinking a good chance of playing. And we trained all week. And as I say, Nigel didn't do shape or nothing. And we signed Michael Higdon on the Thursday before the season started. Higgy signed, and Higgy came in. And we then, we never knew the team on the Friday. And then the Saturday, we got to the ground, and Andy Butler got pulled in to say, you're not on the 18 today. There's no place here. And I think we were all talking. What did you say? And just said, oh well, I ain't he'd only signed in pre-season. He was coming in as sort of the captain, and this is typical Nigel. Butch was like, well, I ain't come here not to play, and he's gone, well, if you don't like it, you don't, get yourself off. And I think Butch was like, all right then. And within a week, Butch was gone. He played one game for the club. I think we played Mansfield in a League Cup game on Tuesday. And Butch was gone the next week and loaned back to Warsaw. It was crazy. But that was like Nigel. He didn't care. And just before the team was named, I got pulled in, me and Neil Collins together. And it was just like, listen, no place in the team for you today. And, you're on the bench and no problem. That's fine. I was thinking, yeah, what's going to happen? But Lewis Reid had come up on the Friday and trained with us just out of nowhere. Reid, he hadn't been around the pre-season, I don't think, really. And Louis came in, and then the team went up, and young Louis was playing. He played centre midfield, so I was like, that was a shock. But he did great. We were playing Bristol City. The team eventually won the league, and over the course of the previous couple of seasons, Bristol City, we always had that number, beaten quite convincingly. And that day was a lot of mix and match. It was Craig Alcott was a right back, played centre half, a young Harrison McGeady. Louis played midfield. Higgy signed on the Thursday. Higgy was the captain, and it was just. But that was Nigel's style. There's no criticising it. You can't criticise people till you're in that situation as a manager. But I kind of went away thinking that, geez, this is, and we didn't win a game for the first 3 or 4 games. And I think I got back in, and we were playing Peterborough away in a game about 4 or 5 games in, and I kind of felt I was going into the team reluctantly. I don't think, deep down, I don't think Nigel wanted to put me into the team. And I ended up getting back into the team and having a good run, and we ended up getting into the League Cup semi-final, which was great. And we were so close to literally beating them. We played well down at White Hart Lane, and we give away a penalty. Jay, he put out his hand. It was, a bit, he didn't have to do it, but it's just reaction. We lose the game 1-0, and we got them back to Bramall Lane. And as you say, it was a great night, and unlucky not to get to the final. But everything kind of after that then changed for me. Then it kind of we're getting into the back end of the season, and things kind of changed. I was playing in the team, and we were playing Scunthorpe on a Tuesday night, and I'd been playing, and I think we were on not a bad run, and he just came up to me in the dressing room and says, listen, I'm going to leave you out tonight. And I was like, all right, yeah. It was a bit bit shocked, but you don't show your disappointment, never would. And he says, you're on 4 yellow cards. He said, I can't afford to lose you. You'll go back in Saturday. I was like, oh, no problem. Disappointed, because I know what it's like when a manager says that to you. It can change. We ended up going and beating, we went and beat Scunny 4-0, I think, but he played young Holty, he'd come in alone. And Holty, to be fair, was an attacking midfielder. He scores a couple of goals, but he ended up a bit of a revelation that season, young Holty. He was great, like, to be fair. Come the Saturday then, I wasn't expecting to play. We played Port Vale. I think it was the 100-year anniversary of Sheffield United or something. And I didn't play in that game. We won the game 1-0, and I came on the last 15 minutes to see the game out. But that was sort of my time. Didn't really play after that,
We could talk for ages, and we have done already. And I know time's tight because you've got commitments taking your son to play football, I think. But I do want to ask you about a couple of other bits. Your Barcelona shirt collection, is that something that's still going on?
Oh yeah.
What's the fascination with Barca?
Well, I used to, funny enough, I always used to go to like Spain when I was a kid. I always used to go to Santa Ponza and Mum and Dad and that, and I used to, Barcelona was always on the telly. In the evenings you'd be in the bar and be watching it, and Romario, Stoichkov, and these type of people, and obviously, I never followed Barcelona, but you took a liking to them, and we didn't see Spanish football, but, the key kits and all were always really unique.
Yeah.
And the Kappa kits and that. So, obviously, through the years, I've always been big on collecting memorabilia, all my programmes. I've always collected them because, funny enough, I was very close to Alan Hodgkinson, ex-United.
Yeah.
Me and Hodgie were very close because Hodgie was at Coventry and I first went there, and all he used to go on about was Sheffield United. That was like, any time the fixtures come out, the first one Hodgie looked at was Sheffield United, down to that cop, because he used to love going down and clapping to the cop because he was a legend there. And I didn't really understand it. And when I went to Sheffield United, Hodgie be in touch. He used to meet him down there. He used to go over to, we'd always used to meet. He was quite close to Eric Black, who I was good friends with. And we always used to meet for a bit of breakfast and that the odd time, every few months, and see him. And then, God bless him, like I've went to his funeral and that, but seeing him down at Sheffield United quite a lot, and he was an amazing man. But going back to the memorabilia stuff, he always said to me, I've collected every programme from when I played.
And you've done the same?
And I done the same. I started collecting all the programmes. I used to get 2 every game, one for me and one for my dad, and bring them home. And then that kind of went on. I have every jersey. And then I kind of was like, always been sort of well into Barcelona, and started collecting the jerseys and things like that. And just like that, and always try and get like all of Messi's home jerseys, and then get.
And these are match worn shirts.
Oh no! These are collect, like, if you go onto these websites, like Genie, match worn shorts, especially Messi's, of course.
Might set you back a few quid. That.
Oh Jesus, yeah. It's no, but just to collect them, because I don't know what it is, but it's quite unique thing to have, all the Barca shorts and that,
And it's right that you've got a Cameroon shirt, is it? From Patrick Sufo, no less, former Blade striker.
The head case.
Just a bit.
He was, do you know what? Again, great fella, and he came to Coventry at start of my career, and just a really good fella, and again, really got on well, brilliant footballer, mad as an axe, and he gave me again, he was like, got talking to him about the Cameroon shorts they wore in the World Cup, because I remember Ireland played them.
Yeah.
I just got talking to him, and next day he brought one in for me, which at the time I thought, bloody hell. But to have a jersey like that now, a match worn Cameroon, because again, unique jersey, they're a vest. It's like, they're kind of no one ever wore a short like that ever since. So I have that as well, which is amazing. But if he's ever watching this, he'll probably want it back now,
So what's your most prized piece of memorabilia, would you say?
Do you know what? I've all my shorts and things like that, which, again, the programmes for me are a great one, because I always, people probably watch something bloody geeky, but sometimes I'll just be around my house and I'll just put her up into the room they're in, and I'll just pull out I'll look and I'll see, there's me Sheffield United that season. I won't even look for one. I'll just pull one out and you just start reading it, and it's good. It's good memories, you know what I mean? Like, but God knows what I've got 2 girls here, and God knows what they'll want with all that rubbish when I'm gone, So it's, as I say, being very fortunate in football to play as long as I have, and feel very fortunate, and just to play for the clubs I did, and as I say, I've collected most of the stuff, so it's always nice to look back on. I'm not saying they've had an amazing career, this and that, but it's always nice to. It's hard to make a career in football, do you know what I mean, for anybody.
Yeah. And you're still playing, 38 at Notts County. National League season cancelled, but the playoffs might happen, and if they do, it's good news for you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, again, I went to Notts County last season, and very similar situation, but Notts County were 10 points adrift. I was thinking, don't want to go there, and the reason I didn't want to go there was from that experience when I first went to Sheffield United. I knew the dressing room after being there, the culture that I walked into, and it was, I don't want to go there. And eventually, the manager, to be fair to me, I'm glad I went because I got to work with him, and he's a gentleman, he's a good manager, and he's took the club. He's shown, sometimes when a club goes down, it's not always right to sack the manager, and this club have stuck with our manager and it's took them right back. I'm delighted for him, for kind of once you see a club sticking by a manager and letting him prove himself, and he's doing that. But I went in there, it was a tough environment, went down, and the club's kind of got new owners in the summer and rebuilt, and we're on the crest of a wave, and pretty confident if we can, I'm confident that in the next couple of years Notts County will be back up in that League One, around the Football League. I'm convinced they're going to get a couple of promotions, with the way the club's being run and the manager that's there, and I think there's good times ahead, which is great. And for me, I'm at that stage. I'm at the end of my career in a sense, but I still feel fit, and I'm playing a lot of games. I'm only missing them when I'm suspended. And
3 red cards this season.
Them referees, and these referees.
Oh, it's the referees, is it? Yeah. I thought it might be.
But no, listen, I'm enjoying it, and the thing is, when you get to my age, you get people, is this your last year, and that, and your age becomes a bit of a number, but you feel like you have to justify yourself every time, someone asks you, because of your age, you have to justify playing. But I'm enjoying it, as I say, and again, I'm able to do the training every day. I'm as fit as anybody, but at the same time, I'm aware next stage of my life is coming soon, and hopefully you can go somewhere. I want to stay in football, and hopefully you can just go in somewhere where they think, look, we'll teach you. And, you've obviously got a lot of knowledge, but it's just you need to go in somewhere where you can help people, but then people can help you as well, develop as a coach, because I've done up in my badges, but it's just about the next stage of life. I'm not one of them players that thinks I'm retired and I know everything and I've played. You get on to the next stage of life and, try and learn. I look at it, when I started out as a sort of a player apprentice at Celtic, you were doing all the sort of rubbish jobs and that, but I didn't mind it. And it's the same now going into coaching. If you're doing the balls and bibs, whatever it is, you have to start and work your way up again. So hopefully get a break when I stop playing, and someone says, listen, we'll give you an opportunity, and go from there,
I must give you a little nod for the goal from the halfway line in the FA Trophy. If people watching this haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a look. Undoubtedly a highlight of the season, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people. To be fair, for me, I was just delighted because it was right in stoppage time, and the ball. I just seen the keeper flying the ball came, and I thought, I'm hitting this. But the only thing I was so happy about was because we had a replay on the Tuesday night down in Dagenham, and I thought, didn't need that, So
the dog approves.
She's a bloody nuisance. But yeah, as I say, it was one of them. It was just delighted we didn't have to replay, and I obviously got a lot of publicity because of the type of goal it was from halfway line. But sometimes you get lucky,
Michael, it's been brilliant to talk to you. We could go on forever, but I know time is of the essence. Listen, I wish you all the best. I said it right at the start. I love watching you when you're at Bramall Lane, and I admired you immensely when, flat came your way. You never went missing. We often made that point when we were doing the radio commentary.
Yeah.
Top pro, top bloke, and I wish you all the very best at Notts County and what follows after that. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that, Paul, and I just want to sort of say thanks very much to you for having me on, and I just wish everybody all the best. You know, may the good times continue for Chris and the club, and it's great to see, you know, the job that Chris has done going in as a local boy, because that carries a lot of weight as well, being, you know, the expectation from family and friends. So it's amazing to see them doing what they have, and all the players there. So I'm delighted for them, and long may it continue. But thanks very much, mate.
Ladies and gents, Michael Doyle. Keep looking across our social media channels, where we will be speaking to more players past and present here on this podcast Inside United. Until then, see you soon.